Hey all. So this is the update for February the 20th. We're going to go walk through each of our strategies here. So the 20 Delta weekly for week 6 that just ended this week. We pretty much, well, we didn't pretty much, we exactly collected all of our the amount that we'd written. So full profit, $1,077. And so that was last week, week 6 here. What I'll do is hide week 6 and we'll pull up just look at week 7. And for week 7, we've done a couple. We did one thing that's different. We continued with the same stocks except for VRT. We replaced VRT with WDC. And the reason for taking Vertiv out was that it had recently just jumped up. It gapped up significantly, and trying to write a put option or trying to sell a put on a stock that's just gapped up was probably not well advised. Sometimes they come down and fill the gap, and I don't want to be assigned those shares. So I went for WDC. Western Digital's been on a more gradual, well, it's been a pretty solid upswing, but at least it wasn't a gap up. So I went with that. It's a high priced, so therefore it becomes a large percentage of the overall portfolio. However, it's not too terrible, and Vertiv now is up in the 200s as well. So really, I'm swapping one for the other. We're just a shade over, mind you. We took the full 1,077, so, and we're trying to write 100% of our amount here. So the fact that we ended up with 101,650 is okay. So essentially, we have written $1,273 in premium for week 7. We'll see how we do. Let's look at the 30 Delta Weekly. This one's a lot more grungy. This one had a lot of stock, a lot of shares that were assigned. So in week 6, we were early assigned on a number of stocks, and so we ended up having to take those on board. So right now we have shares. Well, let's just look at week 6 first of all. Let me hide week 7 just so we can just look at week 6. What am I doing? Just week 6. So for week 6, we had a number of these. Actually, these are the weeklies. These were not early assigned. These were assigned last week. So we had all these shares of Hood, Palantir, ANET, Aristonet, IREN, and SoFi. These were all assigned, and so for most of these, we had covered calls that. Well, for all of these, we had covered calls that we sold, except for IREN. We were assigned IREN. This one we have. Yeah, this right. We wrote a covered call and it expired, so we're good. So essentially, we had lost $32. We were just about even for the week. When we look at week 7, though, we see for week 7 we still have our shares, and we've just basically propagated forward the closing price from today to be the starting price for this coming week, just so we keep track of how things do week over week. But we end up with a grand total of $75 of potential profit here that we've written. So it's going to be a pretty lean week, although at some point we end up with a significant rebound, hopefully. And as these shares that we've bought now at a very low price start to jump up a bit, and we can see some appreciation. Hopefully that'll happen soon. We've written our covered calls appropriately here, so I think we're in reasonably good shape. One note that for SoFi, the premium available for our below cost basis covered calls were so low, 7 cents a share. It just wasn't worth writing it, especially since I couldn't even get up to the point at which we'd been assigned. So since we were assigned at 26 and the stock's now at 18 and change, or 19, I guess, it just wasn't worth selling that for $7. So we'll take a hopefully better shot at that next week. Now we look at the 20 Delta monthly. The 20 Delta monthly. Let's just look at month 1 first, which where we ended up with this ended up down a fair bit, largely because we took quite a hit on Robinhood and Palantir. They both sold off rather a lot, and SoFi. So altogether, we ended up down $3,459 for the month. For month 2, going into from February 20th to March 20th, we are looking at essentially we have the shares that we were assigned on Robinhood. We're going to sell a covered call. We sold a call earlier when we were early assigned, and that had closed today. And that is that we bucketed $36 for that. We wrote another one for next week, and we got $30. And the rest of this, we basically are still selling puts. One thing that's worthy of note, Palantir and IREN, because they'd sold off so substantially. Normally, I don't like to take assignment in my 20 Delta account. I was early assigned to Robinhood. I didn't have any choice, and I just thought, well, okay, I'll hold the shares for Robinhood because it's so far below the level we were assigned. But Palantir and IREN, I did roll them down and out. I didn't quite manage to get a credit. It was just about break even. I think I paid just a little bit more for these. But this is why these show up with such a large sale price. The reality is I had to roll them, and so it's not really as good as that looks. Long story short, we're looking at premium of something in the neighborhood of $69 for month 2. Again, nothing much to write home about, but that's the way it goes when we're signed and the market is down a bit. Actually, I misstated that. I'm just looking at the profit numbers. If I look at the actual premium that we wrote, we actually wrote $1,442 of premium. We'll see how much of that we actually get to keep, though. Looking at the 30 Delta monthly, again, let's look at month 1. Month 1 had a net effect of being down $43.58, and month 2. This is where we have a ton of shares for which we're selling below cost basis covered calls. So we don't get very much when we sell below our cost basis like this, but because we want to be extra conservative in case it pops up, we don't want to sell our shares below cost and actually lose money. So we have you can see what we've done here. We've essentially have propagated forward the share prices that we've acquired the various shares at throughout for Hood, Palantir, SoFi, and IREN. But for the premiums that we've collected, we managed to collect $2,199. Notably, Western Digital, we substituted in for VRT, for Vertiv. That was a pretty substantial $10.83 per share, and that's not even going to the 30 Delta. I went to I think about the 24 Delta, a little bit more conservative there, just because this was paying an awful lot, and there's certainly a reason to believe it will sell off a little bit. So I don't want to put the shares if I don't have to be. So anyway, we made reasonably decent premium for this month, and we'll see how that all pans out. Now, if we look at the portfolio charts, let me just widen this a little bit. We can see how we ended up. Right now, it's pretty clear that the winner so far has been the 20 Delta weekly. It's had pretty good profit. For 4 out of the 6 weeks, it's been in profit. And it's net up $3,229, which is pretty good showing. Actually, I'm kind of surprised. I didn't think it would be as profitable as it was. Both the monthlies have been down quite a bit. The 30 Delta weekly also down quite a bit, largely because the stocks were assigned at the levels that we'd sold a month out. We were able to sidestep most of that in the weekly, but certainly not so much at the 30 Delta, just because the strikes were closer to the price, and we just had no way of wiggling out of the way. So, long story short, this is where we stand currently, and we'll keep you updated.